When Grinding Gear Games announced Path of Exile 2 would be an entirely separate game from PoE 1, it was clear there would be stark differences between the two titles. However, a massive amount of PoE players are adamant these differences are evident in the trailers for Path of Exile 2, of which we've only received a total of 6, 3 longer trailers and 3 smaller teasers. Additionally, we've also had demo capabilities at both ExileCons, Gamescom, and PAX West. These experiences were with pre-built characters and no ability to customize the passive skill tree or start with reasonably decent gear. This and all 6 trailers might be skewing the public perception of how Path of Exile 2 will actually play. Of course, the developers are intentionally attempting to slow down the game, decrease screen clutter, and emphasize strategic and meaningful gameplay. But that doesn't mean the entire feel of the Path of Exile franchise up to this point will change forever. In fact, if we take a close look at the first real Path of Exile 1 open beta trailer released all the way back in 2013, we might see some similarities with how Path of Exile 2's trailers are currently being carved up. This video examines that first PoE 1 trailer and juxtaposes it with PoE 2's latest teasers, explaining how GGG might be trying to categorize PoE 2 as a very different game compared to what we'll end up getting. Leave it to PoE players to absolutely break the game and make absolutely awesome, boss-crushing builds. It will compare the early PoE 1 trailers to PoE builds of the week at the time, showing how GGG represented the game in teasers versus how players managed to change up the playstyle in the actual game. Hopefully, this provides a bit of clarity on how launch PoE 2 will play out. It will explain how GGG can slow the game down without eliminating PoE's trademark zooming entirely. Ideally, this will please a large segment of PoE 1 players, a huge swath of new PoE 2 players, and some who've tried this dark ARPG in the past and bounced off. PoE 2 won't be too fast, it won't be too slow, it'll hopefully be somewhere just right. I trust GGG to perfect the Goldilocks effect in our favorite ARPG franchise. My fellow exiles, welcome and well met. I'm Talkative Try. On this channel, we talk all things Path of Exile, its development, and its competition. If you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. More on how you can support at the end. Now, let's get to it. I am about to play the very first trailer for Path of Exile 1's open beta, released all the way back on January 18th, 2013. In it, you'll be able to see how Grinding Gear Games represented PoE 1 all the way back then. Pay very close attention on how they represent the typical PoE character and build in the trailer.
Of all the human refuse that I exiled from Oriath, it is you that stands before me. I am touched by your devotion, Exile. You have suffered adversity, agony, anguish. To share this moment with me. Rayclass has been good to you, stripped you of fear. I offered the gift of exile, and you used it to reinvent yourself. I couldn't wish for a more potent instrument. Today, I ascend to godhood, and your death shall pave the way.
Now that you've seen some ancient Path of Exile 1 content, let's take a look at the latest full Path of Exile 2 trailer. Again, pay incredibly close attention to how GGG represents the Exile in action.
The gods caused all this, you know. After Oriath was destroyed, I traveled, searching for answers. Everywhere I went, the same divine devastation. It must end. I will end it. And no exile will stop me. This world will be reborn, no matter the cost.
Alrighty, set aside the obvious graphical, cinematic, and animation differences. Also, send the white flashing scene transitions to the dump, please. The music too. Wow, that new theme is an absolute banger. Camille, excellent work. If we hone in on the gameplay and the framing of each actual slice of in-game footage, do you see any true difference between Path of Exile 1 in 2013 and Path of Exile 2 10 years later in 2023. Insane, right? The only massive one I see is the diversity of skill usage. In PoE 1, very few characters utilize multiple active skills. One would do. However, as we've seen in PoE 2 trailers and discussions, GGG is encouraging the use of multiple primary skills. I will not compare this to the builder-spender meta we see in games like Diablo 4, but I shall compare it to a game I've been playing a bit of lately, Last Epoch. So far, a character with multiple skills flows rather well in that game. I'm confident GGG will be able to accomplish the same in PoE 2 if that's their goal, with the option of still running a single skill character for those who cannot go without that playstyle. Besides that, with the juxtaposition of PoE 1 in 2013 and PoE 2 in 2023, I see very few gargantuan differences. Now, of course, there'll be different games, new systems, radical concepts, cool classes, awesome capabilities, and more. With that being said, let's take a peek all the way back to what players were building in Path of Exile 1 during its open beta in 2013 as we approach Path of Exile 2's own open beta in June of 2024. This particular build of the week showcased a brand new build possible in PoE 1's open beta, a Spectral Throw Scion. Immediately, you can see the difference between PoE's trailers and this in-game showcase of a viable PoE build. There are larger monster packs scattered all about. More powerful versions of a skill are shown. In this case, Spectral Throw with more projectiles than usual with the help of a support gem. The monsters also die incredibly fast, showcasing the build's power. All three concepts are ideas PoE players covet. Big monster groups, powerful skills, and huge popping packs. However, these three ideas clash with how GGG would like to showcase PoE to the greater world. These ideas clutter the screen, covering up the world they've built and the sharp game they've created. When sharing this with the greater gaming community, they make an intentional decision here. They are banking on constant PoE players understanding this is an extremely high level of the game being shown. It's not the actual PoE we love to play. Real PoE has gargantuan monster packs, sometimes packs that are too large. It has extremely modifiable skills. It has deadly, godlike characters. That's because Path of Exile is an ultimate power fantasy game. The entire concept is building an exile who is as powerful as possible. From all the interviews with GGG about Path of Exile 2, we've learned this idea is not being removed in the slightest. Instead, the absolute insane, relatively easily obtainable level of screen cluttering, screen destroying, and character building is being toned down. How, you might ask? Well, GGG has provided a few solutions already. One, it's removing the possible upper limit. In PoE 1, you might be able to reach 1,000 projectiles fired per second. That's ridiculous and it obscures almost everything on the screen. In PoE 2, you might be able to fire 10% of that, or 100 projectiles per second. While that seems like plenty less, it should still accomplish what 1,000 projectiles did in PoE 1, absolute domination of anything in your path. 2, it's adjusting which items are available and how speeds are increased. You might have heard Quicksilver Flasks, one of the easiest ways to boost your character's speed in PoE 1, will not exist in PoE 2. At first, this might seem like a straight nerf. However, there will be alternative ways to increase your character's speed, either through skills, passives on the tree, and affixes on items. You might not be moving at light speed, but you'll definitely be moving fast. 3rd, it's changing the difficulty of encounters, especially boss ones. Boss encounters are likely the largest change up from PoE 1 to PoE 2. In PoE 1, most mini-boss encounters in normal areas are pushovers in the axe. Even some act bosses are super easy and simple to beat. Then, once you hit the endgame and maps, plenty of map bosses are complete jokes even with powerful map modifiers. The only ones that begin to pose challenges and force players to follow mechanics are pinnacle bosses like the Shaper, the Maven, and Cirrus. Even then, once characters hit a certain power threshold, these bosses become as easy to surpass as a toddler in a 100-yard dash. Bosses are designed to be formidable in PoE 2. Of course, excellently built characters will likely dispose of them easier, much easier, but each boss has been carefully designed, as we've seen, to have a compelling set of abilities, an interesting arena, and even a way to stagger them. And that's just in the campaign. Once maps are hit and the pinnacle bosses are revealed, we're sure in for a treat for those who enjoy exciting boss battles. Surely, there are plenty of other ways GGG will seek to tone down character power without entirely removing Path of Exile's power fantasy identity. We'll truly get to see once we get our hands on PoE 2's open beta on June 7th, 2024. But what do you think, fellow exiles of YouTube? Do you agree that GGG has historically displayed Path of Exile differently in trailers than how it's actually played in the game, going all the way back to 2013? Or do you think all of this is rubbish and PoE 2 will be a completely different game than PoE 1? In all regards. Similar to a snail's pace Elden Ring or an isometric Dark Souls. You know what to do. Let me know in the comments. A massive thanks to each and every one of you who watched this whole video. I deeply appreciate it. And here's an even larger shout out to all those who support me on Patreon and through YouTube. You can find links to support the channel in the description. Please check out these other videos on screen now and share this one with your favorite exile. I have an inkling you'll both enjoy them. Anyways, that's all for this video. Hala Moana, Exile.